Hey everyone, it's Jack, and today I'm out at the Zorin OS website to take a look at Zorin 16.1 Pro. This is the premium edition. Zorin OS is available in two editions, the free and the Pro. And so today I'm looking at the Pro. Pro runs for only $39, which is about the price of a couple of pizzas and a box of wings. And I'm telling you what, for supporting such a great project, it's an amazing deal. On top of that, you get extra layouts and extra wallpapers and extra software installed for you. So that is really cool. The software is open source, and the extra layouts include a layout that resembles Windows 11 style. So what's the big difference between Community and the Pro Edition? Well, the Pro Edition has a few more extra things in there. For example, we got extra wallpapers, extra layouts. Now the layouts are kind of like something I'll show you when I get in here, but some of the extra layouts that you get in the premium include a Windows 11 type layout as well, and you get additional software pre-installed. Now granted, the software is open source, of course, and you could install it yourself, but to have it all done for you and have all these extra goodies is really just a fantastic thing. Plus, this OS just looks so good. This is really a beautiful distro and well worth the support. And on top of that, it is just solid as a rock. I just love the way this feels. And so without wasting any more time, if you haven't gone out here to check out Zorin OS yet, jump on out and grab it. This is where you can get it. And I also got the link in the description below. So with that, let's just get right to it and jump in. So here we are. We're booted in to the boot ISO. And so I'm going to just go straight to the install here and install this. You can also try the live version just by hitting the try Zorin, and then you'll be in the live. But I'm just going to go ahead and just run through these steps real quick, like just to show you how simple it is here. And so I'm going to leave all the defaults checked here, especially the download updates and install third-party software and hardware, Wi-Fi hardware, and additional media formats. So all that's important. So if you don't want to have hardware issues. So that's a good way to guarantee that you won't have hardware issues, especially with your Wi-Fi or printers and things like that. Good to have that box checked for maximum support. Oh, and speaking of support, I forgot to mention, support is the other thing you get in the premium version for that $39. So if you're using this like in an environment where you might require tech support and so forth, that is included. So that alone is well above and beyond worth the price. For many. Onward and upwards. For our installation type, I'm going to go up here and just select Erase Disk and install Zorin OS because I want to start fresh and just go right to it. Otherwise, if you have an existing operating system on here, it'll let you install alongside too in a majority of the cases. And so we'll go yes, and then here we're going to continue because our time zone looks good. And then I'm just going to put in my funny name there and then a password and again. And then I'm just going to leave it default. It requires my password. It also has a use Active Directory, which is kind of nice. So if you're a Windows user, you can get right into Active Directory. It'll kind of set it up for you if you're on a network that's networked in Windows. So that wouldn't apply to most people. But if you're somebody that's on a Windows network and you want to take advantage of Active Directory, Zorin does make it pretty easy to get you just kind of hooked in there. So that's good to know. But most people won't need to use that. Anyways, the install is started here. So I'm just going to hit pause here. And then when it's all done, I'm going to let it do its thing. And this could take a while. If I remember right, Zorin OS does take a while because there's so much stuff on here, especially in the Pro version. So I'm just going to let it do its thing. I'm going to pause the video and then I'll be back when it's all done. Okay, we're all finished. Installation's complete. So I'm just going to hit restart here and remove the installation media. And then we'll do the restart here. Installation media has been removed, and so far so good. Everything looks like it's going well. We got our Z, and this did take a while to install. I think it took about probably half hour, 45 minutes. So there was a lot of stuff, and it did take a while. And there it is. So it looks like our login is showing up. So I'm going to just hit that and log right in. Excellent. And there it is, our background. Wow! And a nice intro sound there. Very cool. Oh, wow, right off the bat, very polished and beautiful looking here. So here we have our intro welcome screen. And so I might as well just hit the start tour and see what we got. So here it's showing we can open our menu to launch apps, and then we hit next, and then you can choose your desktop look. So let's take a look at that and see what extras we got. Yeah, there we go. We got the extras. In the free version, I think there's like 4 choices you can choose from. And so this being the Pro, we got some extra things. And right here we have our kind of traditional style launcher. So that's our default. And so by hitting these, then it changes all of a sudden. And now we have this more classic look here where we got the window previews and so forth. Kind of more of a Windowsy. And then this is kind of the Windows 11 style, I believe. And so that looks cool. Hit this, and now we're getting a full screen launcher there, and I like that. I think the full screen launcher is something I kind of favor personally, and so we can flip through, and you can see a lot of apps are installed right off the bat. Really fantastic. And then if we hit this, it's showing that we have an update available, which is not too surprising since I just installed it. So I'm going to just let that updater run in the background since I'm not doing anything too essential. So I'll just hit install now and let those do its thing. First, I got to authorize. All right. So we'll let that do its thing, and then I'll just come back here, and I guess it would help if I hit next. Oh, it's already open. So, okay, we're good. And then here we got another style here. That's just, I think probably kind of, I don't know what that is actually. I was thinking a menu was going to pop out a panel on the side there, but it doesn't seem to be popping up. So, okay, there we go. Now we got something, I think. At least it showed up in my activities. So I guess you got to hit the activities there, like traditional GNOME. So, okay, now I get it. Took for a second for the bell to ring. All right, and then here we got our kind of our Mac style here. So we got our panel at the bottom, and then again, we got full screen menu. So I like that, our launcher. And then here's our file manager. So we'll kind of open that up and just kind of take a look at it here. And I believe that's our GNOME files. And then here's another style. This one looks kind of interesting. That's kind of got the Windows 11-ish look. And our launcher, though, is different. And so we got this kind of style here, which is really pretty nice. It's like a grid layout here. And I think that's really cool. That's not a bad look. Very unique. And then here we have our Ubuntu look, is probably what I'd call it. And very Ubuntu-esque. So, yes. And of course, it's based on Ubuntu too. And by the way, this is using the Focal repository. So that's something you want to know as well, which is kind of the, I think that's based on the 20.4 stable there, as 20.04 uses the Focal repos there. And then here we got another style. And then finally, we got our last choice here, which is kind of a Windows 7 look here, it looks like to me. And then we have our calendar over here, beautiful. And so, yeah, being based on the Focal, that's 20.04. And I noticed that there's no labels on the layouts appearance. That'd be kind of nice if they were labeled, just, I don't know. But these are some of the premiums, like the Mac layout. And then here's our default again. I believe that was the default. So I guess I'll just go back to the default. But yeah, it's just something for the suggestion box. I would probably label those. So it's a little bit easier to kind of get a feel, especially for beginners, so they know kind of what the layout is resembling. And then here we got more items, speed, connect your online account. So if you guys want to sync, you can do that. You can also link your phone here with Zorin Connect, which is kind of nice. And then we got our software to find install apps. So that's a quick link to the GNOME software. And then we have LibreOffice installed by default. You also have a choice of only Office, which I think is kind of nice too. But if we go in here to Office, you can see that we got LibreOffice in here. And so if you decided you didn't like that, you could always uninstall Libre and add in only Office. And I would probably just do that through the Software Center. However, you can do it right from there if you really wanted to and have both. But anyways, when you click on that, it opens up the Software Center automatically and takes you right to the page where only Office is. So you could actually just go ahead and install it here and then back up and uninstall the LibreOffice right from in there. So that's pretty nice. And that takes us to the end of the tour. Very cool. So again, back to our Software Center, we can click our Launch Software button here, and then we might as well just take a quick look at the Software Center since we're in here. Why not? So here we got our updates that are being added as we speak. As you can see, the updater is still running, and That'll probably take a little bit, so you can kind of see an ongoing status there. And then these are our installed apps, and a lot of these are still installing, probably because the updater is running as well. So it's kind of showing the status is installing here as it's being updated. So a lot of stuff. Holy cow. So it really is loaded with a ton of things. And here we have our games, and so we got, you know, our Isle Rot, which is like solitaire, I think, and then mines and all these other cool things, Sudoku. And then our accessories, we got a lot of cool stuff in here. And again, it's really just loaded with a lot of stuff. And so you're really well stocked. And the Pro version especially has a lot of productivity software in here and media related. And here we have our GNU, our GIMP image software, and then we got Inkscape and Krita, which is a paint program. A very nice one, by the way. It's advanced. It's not like Microsoft Paint or anything like that. And we got even OpenTunes if you're into animation. That's a wonderful app there. Very cool. Then our internet apps here, we got Firefox installed by default, Ramina, which is like a remote desktop application. Like to see that. Transmission is our torrent app here, and even a newsfeed reader. How cool. And then again, under Office, we have all this stuff here. We got Contacts, Calendar, Evolution for PDFs and so forth. Folate, we got a financing software. Folate for viewing ebooks. We got personal finance and accounting software. Very nice. That's called HomeBank. And then we also have Minder, where you can create and develop visually your ideas. A journal. Very cool. I like this. And under sound and video, we got all kinds of stuff. We got Ardour, which is a great audio editor. Audacity, which is also a great audio editor and a little more simpler. Ardour is probably geared more towards the professional. And then we got Blanket, which plays all kinds of cool sound effects and stuff like that, if I remember right. And Handbrake, a wonderful video converter. Caden Live. Fantastic. OBS Studio right out of the box. Sound recorder. Beautiful. Rhythm box. So it is really just loaded. This is pretty much, I wouldn't have to do anything installing this on my own computer, pretty much, except maybe adding Shotcut. I think I even saw TV in there, which is another video editor. So it looks like there's two different types of video editors. That's cool. And then up here we got our settings and our software updater, VirtualBox, Zorin Appearance, and Zorin Connect, which is the app that'll let you connect your phone. And then under utilities, we got a lot of the great GNOME utilities here that you would typically find. And this is GNOME based. In case I didn't mention that, I don't remember. And also our system monitor and our terminal, which I'd like to open that up anyway. And now that we got it open, let's do a uname-r here. And it looks like our kernel is 5.15.8. Nice. Okay, so that's newer than I was expecting. I don't know why I was thinking it was going to be around 5.13. So that is even better. Glad to see it's got a newer kernel. And so the software updater is still running. So while that's doing its thing, let's jump into settings and see what we got in here. So we'll just do a quick settings tour. And I'm going to also open up my file browser. So if we make any visual changes here, we can kind of see them reflected. But that would actually probably be more under appearance, which is kind of separate. I keep forgetting I'm in GNOME based. So anyways, here we got our network. So our network settings, and these are all your standard GNOME type settings. And here's our wallpapers. And you do get extra artwork here in the premium version. So very nice. And these are just beautiful backgrounds again. I'm always a big fan of wallpapers. And we got an instant change there. I was looking to see if maybe we had the show desktop button, but I guess we don't. I guess I could slide these out of the way. I'll have to add that on here in a minute. But for the moment, I'll just kind of minimize these guys and this one and maybe minimize our terminal. And then we can kind of see the background a little better. Yeah, it looks nice. Wow. That actually might be my favorite there. It looks really cool. But I'll just click on a couple others here just to kind of see what we get. There's the Grand Canyon, it looks like, or somewhere out in the Arizona part of the US, I think. And some palms, that's nice. Very cool. Kind of a polar scape there, I think. Nice. And I like that too. Wow. I like the colors in that. Very cool. But I'm thinking, well, let's take a look at this. I'm thinking this one actually is going to be my choice, so I think I'll go with that. I like it. Then here we got our notification settings. Again, these are all standard in GNOME. You've probably seen them a million times on other GNOME desktops, so nothing really new right here. Here's our location services. So I'm just going to touch upon some of the most commonly changed stuff here. Maybe file history if you don't want that showing, or if you do. And then here we got our screen lock. So if you don't like your screen locking up every time it goes into power saver, you can take care of that right there and turn it off. And of course, on your calendar, when you click down in your lower right corner, it also has a do not disturb mode where you can turn that on, and that'll keep your power settings from turning on as well. And then again, our power settings, and we got 5 minutes as our default for screen blanking. And then here's our resolution, and that's at 50. I think I'm going to change that to 60. That would probably be a better thing there. And we also got fractional scaling, so that can be handy if you got like you're hooking it up to a big TV, huge monitor, or maybe you got multiple monitors. The fractional scaling can be handy. Personally, I've never really had to use it, but I know that's a nice thing to have available. And now here's our mouse support. So there's where you can go if you want to change it if you're a lefty and you want to change for left-handed settings. Then our keyboard shortcuts can be changed there. Printers, so if you want to add a printer, you can click that button. And if you got a Linux compatible printer, most likely it's going to find it right off the bat, like an HP or any Linux compatible printer. And then if we go down to users, here we can change our avatar and other things if you want, just by authorizing. And then hit this, and then we can just choose a picture like that. That's a pretty good likeness. Looks just like me. And here you can set your default applications. And if you want to change your applications, just hit the drop down here. And so like if I want to change my video player to VLC media player, that's the place I would do it. And now that would become my default video player. Easy peasy. And then finally we got about. And so here we got about our OS here, which shows that we're running Zorin OS 16.1. 64-bit using X11. So that is that. And it looks like our updates are installed, so awesome. I'm just going to go ahead and restart here and let it do its thing, and that'll take care of the updates. So we got them out of the way, and that took a little while too. Apparently there's a lot to update. So we got our Z back for Zorin, and really like the splash screen there as it boots up. That's really nice. Very, again, adds to the professionalism and the polish. Nice. I'm just going to log in there, and there's my new face that we changed. Yes. And so we're back, and there's that nice crisp background. Yeah, I really like that background. That is totally cool. I'm just going to open up my files, file manager here. Then I'm going to go here and let's take a look at Zorin appearance. And before we were kind of going through the layouts and stuff, but we didn't check the other stuff. And since I'm in here, I'm just going to scroll down a little bit, or maybe scroll over, and just want to check out. Yeah, okay, so here's our menu, and I kind of like a different launcher menu, I think. Let me just jump back to this MacOS style here, or maybe this one. Or maybe this. This is kind of the traditional Windows 7 look. I kind of like that too. The launcher menu is a little bit plain for me though, and it doesn't really change when you mouse over it. I'd kind of like it better if it did that, because here you got to kind of click on each one to go inside. But I guess I would probably, personally, my personal taste would probably be one of these full page menus, and maybe something like this. That kind of appeals to me. That's kind of got the Mac feel to it, and then you got the full page. So I guess if you want a full page menu kind of like that, then you need to kind of go with something like a Mac style, or something that shows the full page menu designation there. And then of course we got that style which we looked at before, which was kind of cool, the grid style. But this one is the Windows 11, I think might work best for me, for my personal taste. I like this because we got the full page grid style launcher menu, and for me that's kind of more comfortable. And then here we got our color theming, and so we can change our accents here. So we can make those green, and I love that shade of green. That is nice. And then here we got kind of a beautiful orange and then red. And they really did a nice job of making the shades kind of light and pastel-y feeling. And so that's really nice. And the green, I'm kind of leaning on that right now. Here you can use your hybrid light and dark. And then you got your dark theme. And I kind of like the dark themes. And I noticed that you get your dark tint there in the dark theme as well. It kind of tints everything with the accent, even your buttons and so forth. So that's kind of a cool effect. I like that. I don't think there's an option to take off the tinting on widgets. However, I like it, so it looks kind of cool. Then if we go to our interface, here you can kind of change things in your interface as well, like jelly mode. That's kind of cool. Jelly mode is something you get in Zorin OS Pro. They do have Zorin OS Lite too with XFCE, and there's no jelly mode in the Lite version, but in the Pro, there you go. It's kind of gives you the wobbly windows there, which is nice. And when you minimize and so forth, you kind of get that suction effect, I guess, for lack of a better word. And then there's our taskbar settings. So if we want to change anything with our taskbar, that's the place we would do it. And here we got our panel IntelliHide, and then we can change our panel size just by tweaking this little slider. And if we crank it up to 64, it'll get bigger, and back here it'll be smaller. So you can have it tiny, or you can have it humongous. And then our position, so here we can set the position of our panel. So maybe we don't want it on the bottom. We can always move it somewhere else. And then we got all these little tweaks here where you can kind of move around each individual item on the panel bar too, which is nice. And there's our desktop button, which is not turned on right now. So I'm going to make that visible because I kind of like having a desktop button. And I think if we turn it on, it'll go right there at the end by default. So that's kind of cool. And since I'm here real quick, when you open up the calendar here and you click on the clock, you can see that you have a Do Not Disturb slider there. And if you click that slider, then that'll put you in a Do Not Disturb mode so your monitor doesn't turn off and you don't go into power saving or a screen lock. And that's especially handy if you're doing like some kind of presentation. Maybe you're doing a PowerPoint in front of a zillion people and you don't want it to go to sleep on you in the middle of your presentation. Well, or if you just don't like being annoyed by it. That's the spot right there. And that'll let you go into that mode so it doesn't disturb you with those power settings. So that's an easy way you can get to it and just kind of turn those off. Just a little FYI there. And then here's our activities. So we can go into that window and just kind of see everything that's open. So I'm going to turn on my desktop button. So I'm going to click the visible button there, and then that'll make it appear down here. And wow, even when I mouse over it, without clicking, it'll still temporarily minimize all the windows and then bring them back up. That's cool. And then of course, when you click on it, they'll stay down. But I really like that hover feature. Actually, I didn't know that was there. I never noticed that before. That's kind of cool. Then here you can move your panel to the top, to the left, and to the right. So that's where you can do all your tweaking. And of course, the bottom is where it's at by default. And then you got your behavior stuff in here, which typically I would just leave at their default. But here's showing window previews on hover. And so that's turned off for this layout. But if you like that previews on anyway, you can turn it on there. And then you'll get your previews back for these panel items. So anything that's open, you can now see the preview. So if you change your layout and your preview disappears and you want it, that's where you can turn it on. Or the other way around. Maybe you don't want the preview. So that's the spot right there. And then finally our actions. So here you can change your click actions if you like and so forth. Typically I never need to touch those personally. So that takes care of the Zorin taskbar. Then we have our desktop settings here. So here you can change your icon size and add icons default. So here we have our home and we got trash. So we can trash our desktop. And then we got mounted wall volumes and network servers, which we don't have any on here right now. And then here you can change your icon sizes. So you can make it small or you can make it tiny. So you can have them really tiny or have them really large. So it can kind of accommodate everybody's taste. And the default, of course, is standard. And you can toggle the icons on desktop off if you just don't want to have icons at all. So it's nice that you have that option there. So another nice feature there in Zorin. I'll just kind of change that back to standard again. I don't know why I was fooling with that again. But anyway, here's our fonts. So here you can change fonts. And so if you want to change a different font or change the font sizes, that's the place you can do it. Sweet. And here we got our system monitors. So if we open that up, we can kind of look at our monitor and there's our jelly effect. Forgot we were in jelly mode still. And then here's our resource usage, so you can kind of see what's going on there. And as you can see, not much resource usage at all. The CPU's fairly flat there. And then we have our file systems here, so we can kind of see our file system layout. And then, of course, all our processes. So the system monitor is always a handy thing to have quick access to. And I'm just going to go in here and take a look for the monitor and open this up again. Or not monitor, what am I saying? Console. And then I'm going to add to favorites, because I want to keep that out on my taskbar, my panel below. So that's the main reason I opened that up. Now, as you see, when I closed it, it stayed there. So now I can have easy access to my console anytime I want. And now I'm going to install HTOP and then just kind of authorize here. And let's take a look at our HTOP and see what it says. I kind of like to see our usage from the HTOP point of view. And I'm guessing it's probably going to be around a gig-ish. Just going to magnify everything here a bit. And now let's run HTOP. And yeah, 1.2 gigs. So that's pretty much what I would expect. That's a very typical GNOME result. So yeah, I think that's right in kind of where I would expect it to be. And now let's jump back into here and take a look at Inkscape. I just want to see what's available. Here you can see that the Snap Store is installed. So we got Snap Store, FlatHub, and right from the Zorin OS repositories. And by default, I think we're probably running 1.2. If you get it right from the repos, it's probably an older version. And it is, wow, yeah, like 0.925. Wow, okay. So that one's pretty old. But if you get it from FlatHub there, that would be the latest and greatest, 1.21. And same with the Snap Store. And it's probably installed from the Snap. Hey, where'd the Snap go? Now I only see FlatHub and Zorin OS in the results. That's kind of weird. Well, let me jump out of there and then maybe go back in, see if it comes back. And it's back. Huh. Okay, so that's a little weirdness there. Must be a little bug. But you can see from the Snap Store, it's also 1.21. So latest and greatest there. And then you could just easily install it. But let me just click off of that again. Go like the FlatHub. And now it's gone. Wow. Yeah, so definitely it's like some kind of little weirdness, little weird bug. So I guess if you click off of the Snap Store, it's going to disappear out of that list. Nothing serious by any stretch, but good to know anyway. So let's see if it does the same thing with another. So do that, and yep, it's gone. So definitely some kind of funky little harmless bug, I guess. Something that'll probably change in an update before long. Oh, cool. Let me just go in here and I'm going to look for Inkscape, and then let's just launch this. And I just want to see what version is running in here. I don't know if this is from the repo or a Snap or a FlatHub. 1.2. Yeah, okay. I see that. Very cool. And I'm pretty sure that's probably a Snap, I would say. Being that we're Ubuntu based, we got our about. And yeah, I would say that's a Snap from the look of the version number there. Very good. So nice to see that we're latest and greatest there on the software, because we are running off of LTS 20.04. Wow. So yeah, I think I must have covered everything. I can't think of anything else. All I gotta say is this is a very, very refined and polished OS. And of course, I want to remind you that you can have this kind of quality in the free version as well. So they are very much identical, except for the fact that the premium version gives you extra layouts that you can choose from, more artwork, and probably most importantly, free support. Support is included, so if you run into issues, you can get support, and you don't have to worry about being left out in the cold. And wow, for 39 bucks, that's a treasure if you need support. And then of course you got a whole lot of extra productivity software installed, and maybe even some stuff that I'm not even thinking of. However, Zorin OS is just a distro here that I just think is something that, especially a beginner, now you probably hear that all the time, oh, it's the perfect transition OS for a beginner. And it is, really, because it really accommodates all the different types of users you would probably have, pretty much, as far as people being used to a certain look. And so if someone's coming over from Windows 7 or Windows 10, 11, or maybe coming over from macOS, they can get a familiar layout right off the bat. And the transition would probably be so easy they'd hardly even notice they came over from Windows. And of course, I'm talking in the scope of an average user. If you're a power user on Windows and you depend on Adobe products or something that you can't really run on Linux, then this isn't really your thing. You're better off staying in Windows, because there are scenarios where Windows is simply the best environment for your needs, depending on what you're doing. So it's really a very subjective thing. For many people, Linux is a perfect alternative to Windows or Mac. And I think one of the things I like the best when I transitioned, it's been 10 years ago at least, full-time from Windows to Linux, was the sheer speed of everything. Everything just ran so much faster. The internet just was so much zippier, and I never had to worry about viruses. And I was thinking to myself, why didn't I go full-time years ago? Well, actually, I couldn't, because I was using proprietary software that I thought I couldn't live without for years. And so it took me a long time to realize that I could replace every bit of that and get rid of Windows. And so eventually I reached this tipping point where Windows just got too slow all the time, and just too much spyware and too much headache to deal with all the time. And I was really getting tired of having to totally reinstall my Windows like every 6 months. That was getting old. So then I decided, well, you know, I really like Linux. I've played with it since the 90s, really, and never really stayed in it full time, just kind of would jump into it or throw it on a laptop or something. And so then I just went full time. And not only that, but I'm rambling like a sieve. So let's get back on topic. Zorin OS, I think, is going to be a perfect distro for a lot of people. And if you're somebody that knows people that want an alternative or are having constant headaches on Windows, this might be a solution that would work. Or if you have a work environment and maybe you're an IT person and you're in charge of a department or a business, and you got employees that are constantly being plagued with all kinds of spyware and malware, ransomware, and everything else, and you're tired of having to do complete restores all the time and restoring your entire servers from backup and everything else, well, maybe it's time to give Linux a try. And this would be the perfect distro here to kind of transition people over. And you might be surprised how well they can still do their job. And some people might not even know they're not on Windows. So anyway, that's my 2 cents. Zorin OS, definitely something you might want to stick on your computer and give it a try. And if not, at least you got a sneak peek into what the pro version is like. And I say, if you think this is something that's a good fit for you, then, but you're not sure you want to commit, just download the free version and you'll be able to do everything you can do in the pro version. And then if you decide to go pro and you want to support the project, or you want to go beyond that even and have support the extra goodies, then go pro by all means. It's totally worth it, and it's a project worth supporting. So with that, I hope this video was helpful, and if it was, don't forget to leave that thumbs up and hit subscribe. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.